Hello and welcome to the Board Game Geek Show for March 20th, 2020. We are here actually recording this last week live from the GAMA Expo 2020, and we just made it through our 3 days of coverage, 2.5 days of coverage. But we've got Eric Martin, Eric Martin, Candace Harris, Rodney Smith, Derek Porter, Chaz Marler. This is the biggest one we've
fit everyone on the table.
I think
here,
this
right?
is the biggest BGG show we've done.
Yeah.
Maybe we had 6 before,
I don't know.
like Essen, but we were all wedged in together, and we don't have that kind of depth. So, yeah. Let's go over there with those guys that
who aren't ready.
Scrambling over the table.
Long-time viewer, first-time sitting in the booth person over here. Actually, I guess I was on a previous.
No,
I
you've
ruined
been
it.
on.
Sorry,
You've done it all.
I've done.
Well, I think
There's
this
nothing you
is
haven't done with
Candace's
BGG.
first show.
Yes.
This is my second BGG show.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, Candace, this was your first show, so
Yes,
what do you want to
it
say?
was.
I mean, I know you went to Essen last year, so
Yeah.
you've done a bigger con, but and you do Strategic Con regularly in Los Angeles. But what did you think of this mess?
It's a different perspective
Yeah.
as a
For sure.
host.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
and guest.
totally different. I was a little nervous at first, but had some great support and great advice from these guys.
How much did it cost you for every time you said thanks for watching?
Oh yeah,
Watching.
What were you asking?
I was
$5?
accidentally ripping off
Canadian
Rodney's tagline a couple of
Accidentally,
times.
did you do air quotes?
I'm pretty sure I'm not the first person to end their videos with
Thanks for watching.
but maybe the
I didn't even realize I was doing that. But yeah, I had a blast. This one was different because it's, focused on like retailers and publishers, and it's
Right.
like a little more industry than open to the public. But I had a blast hosting the live stream when I did. It's super fun just getting in front of new games and hearing about them.
Plus you-
It's often a surprise each time. You're just
Yeah.
like, here's this thing. I don't
Yeah.
know what it is.
Yeah.
Let's find out.
I definitely felt I had to I was trying to pay attention to the cameras a bit, but I'm like, oh, let me listen to what they're saying.
You gotta focus on that.
Yeah.
Exactly. You gotta disconnect yourself from that stuff for your
Exactly.
It's
exactly.
a nightmare. I know that. I've done it many times and been bad.
But
especially from this show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's so quiet, like everything's super still. Although the time I did, I think we were sharing the room with Dice Tower, so there was a little bit of distraction. But I think I tried 7 times to try to say the guest's name one time when I was doing it. It was pretty bad. You also played a lot more games than probably all of us in the evenings.
Yes.
They do have gaming every night from 8 to midnight.
9 to 12.
Okay.
Yeah, I got quite a few games in.
anything stand out?
Yes, I kind of talked about it before, but Fort, coming from Leader Games to retail sometime later this year. It's a re-implementation of a deck building game with some twists called SPQF. I really enjoyed that. The art is great. I also played Downforce for the first time with the Wild Ride expansion. And I had a blast. Like, I'm already adding that one to my collection.
Downforce is great, right?
Yeah,
Really
it's so
That's-
cool with the betting and everything
Yeah.
that you have in there. And then, I never played the base game, but there are ramps now.
Yeah, I know.
And
Those look really cool. I saw
just
those today.
all new strategies you can do with jumping cars off of ramps. I had a blast playing that.
Well, that one's a re-implementation of a very old Wolfgang
Yes.
Kramer game, right? That wasn't
Because
even
that's
really
what
a race game.
restoration
Six
games
Wolfgang Kramer
does,
games.
right?
Yeah, because I have Daytona 500, which was the first U.S. popular one, and then I also have what was the other one that Pegasus did a few years back? Top Race, maybe, or something like that.
Top Race.
That was a redo, another redo. But yeah, it was an abstract originally. That
Yeah.
was like some sort of race game. But that's always been an amazing game.
Yeah, and I didn't think I was going to be into it because I'm like, racing cars, whatever. But it surprised me.
I think the
and
betting
I
is what
enjoyed
makes it, doesn't it, in a way?
Yeah, and just having the cards where you're moving
Everybody,
everybody's
yeah,
cars is interesting because I've played the only other racing game I think I've played is Flamme Rouge.
Right.
And it's you're just controlling your bikers,
Yep.
and I like that game a lot too for a racing game. But another one that kind of stood out a little bit was Coralia. It has some beautiful colored custom dice and a scuba diver meeple and octopus that wrap around these dice, and you're kind of drafting and
visually
placing
very
them.
appealing one, right?
Yeah, it was pretty fun. Lighter, maybe slightly medium, but weight wise. But I enjoyed that too, and it has a gorgeous table presence.
Okay. From R&R Games.
Okay, right.
I was wondering who was doing that one.
I had to throw out my details.
Yes.
All
Yeah.
out first details.
Thank you.
The database speaks.
Yeah.
Although you've had a few that you were off on, right? You had a date wrong earlier.
I had one date wrong.
Yeah, what the heck? That's nothing.
Put it back in for rewiring.
I did not take my badge off. What am I doing
Well, it's
here?
more. I think the date in the database was wrong.
See, it
And that's what I remembered
Yeah.
was the date in the
It was the
database.
source.
Right, where you put it in.
Database.
But see, that's amazing that you remember that. That's
Yeah.
pretty fantastic.
This guy.
I looked at it a bit.
Did you see anything, Eric, or play anything that was kind of interesting to you?
I did not play that much. I played the Gunun game that we were doing on camera before. We played Stickle, which Capstone Games is coming out in a new edition, which is funny because, of course, it's a game that's 27 years old.
Oh, okay.
First time English release.
It's crazy.
It's a fantastic trick-taking game.
Lots of pain in that game.
Yeah.
Lots of pain.
Lots of fun moments.
Played Breakdancing Meeples, which is like a 4-minute little dice rolling silly thing from Atlas Games. Played a bit of Devil's Pact coming from Cajones Games. It's the adult branch for Repo's production. It's very much you pair a positive with a negative, and the cards just give you prompts for what you're going to do. But you customize it a bit as you wish, add a little more flavor, more detail there, and you present it to people, and they can ask you questions about that to ask for more details on what you're doing. So, to give one of the examples that we had, you can stop time for 6 minutes. Not only that, 6 minutes, 45 seconds. You get a little bit of extra time there. So you can do whatever you want in that 6 minute time that you stop. Unfortunately, as a side effect, you have a pair of testicles hanging from your chin.
Oh, nice.
I mean, so, it's not overly
Is that just
prominent.
because it's called
Did I hear
cojones?
you right? Did you say pair of
A
testicles?
pair of
hanging from your
testicles,
chin?
not just
From your
one.
chin?
You've got two hanging from your chin. It's not that prominent, but it's not something you can hide
So is the idea
necessarily.
you have to decide whether or not you would want the power to stop
Yes.
time with this other?
Yes, I'm afraid it's got this
Is it only
foundation
one
here.
time, 6 minutes and 45 seconds?
No, you can do it repeatedly
Okay,
at different
okay.
times.
That
As
might be
to
worth
it's a window. It's not you can't just do it repeatedly and stop time forever. There has to be some
So do you
start
keep
time
adding
again.
testicles?
No. You do not get more than
one
the
second.
two or four,
These
as
are
the
the fine
case may
details that
be.
you'd want to ask.
Yes, and these are the
Right?
questions you must ask to figure out what are the actual parameters that we're talking about here.
That game sounds
Right.
nuts.
It is. Yes, there's more questions set out there.
Wow.
That's why he hasn't been on the show for a while.
Yes. So you talk with people to ask lots of questions, and then each person says whether they would make that deal with the devil or
Right.
not. And I have to vote for yes, no, yes, whatever it is. If I'm correct, I get points. You guys get points based on various things. If you all say yes or all say no, then I get no points. But there's a bonus for you.
You need to entice at least
But,
somebody.
yes, but there should be something where if it's not a deal with the devil if there's not some drawback.
Right.
So there has to be
Yeah.
something, but ideally someone wants it and some people don't. That's the way you set it out there. Yes. There's lots of interesting combinations in there.
I know that Derek was probably too busy with production to actually play any games in the evenings. Chaz, did you get to play anything?
Not really. I did actually this time got a chance to see some games in the exhibit hall, but I didn't have any time in the evenings really to sit down and play anything.
Right. I was in the same boat. Now, I know John, who was probably the other person who played as many games as
Right.
Candace or more. He played with you, and I'm going to let you speak again, even though we'll get back to Rodney in a moment.
Sure.
About Tichu?
Tichu, yes, which you hadn't played for a long time either, right?
No, I've played Tichu not too long ago, but we ran into Clay Ross from Capstone Games. They're doing Stickle, and we played with them, and it came out in the conversation he had never played Tichu. And John said, no, we got to correct this.
We have to fix this
We have
now.
to fix this. So we went and bought a standard deck of cards. We marked up for the special
Oh,
cards on the Jokers.
I wanted to join you guys, but I was like, I'm going to pay that price so dearly in the morning.
Yeah, John and I were experienced players, so we were paired with Clay and his cousin Justin. So I was partnered with Clay. John had Justin, so we each had a new player. it's the longest teach of any card game. Trying to teach Tichu, and there's so many details and qualifications and exceptions and blah, blah,
It
blah.
sounds like from talking to John that you taught it in layers, which I
We
think is
did.
smart. Like, you don't introduce everything all at once. Just get to
Yes.
the basics down, then add in, okay, there's
Yes.
this power on this card, and then there's...
Don't even think about scoring. Doesn't matter.
Right.
Don't even think about this. We didn't do passing of cards for multiple rounds because it doesn't matter. Like
Right.
you have to absorb it in bits and pieces. And it was
That's
a
smart.
fantastically wild game with all the things that you would want to see in a teaching game. They were very ambitious players. Usually a lot of first-time players, including me when I first learned the game. You hold off, you don't call Tichu, you don't go bold. You know, here we had people, they were calling grands as well, which is like the huge bets in here for new players and just making wild plays, including when they should not. Like I pass Clay the dog, which is like a clear signal. My hand's awesome. I want you to pass the lead to me whenever you get it.
Right.
Clay calls Tichu almost immediately and just going crazy.
Now you're competing against him almost.
Yeah,
Like,
that did not work out so well. But it's such a good game.
it is
Now, I've never played.
Almost 30 years old.
But that what you just said is what intimidates me from trying, where they talk about plays that they should not have done. I'm like, I would have no
but-
idea.
Right, but the thing is, John and I were just like, whatever, man. You that's how you learn. And you are going to make multiple mistakes, multiple bad plays, whatever. And a lot of it is some of it's learning conventions, and some is strategy, and some is sort of how you're responding and how you read other people and what they're doing. You know, you played this. I clearly knew that you had this, and you were trying to play blah, blah, blah. And like you can get that after more plays, but unless you do that first play.
I think the intimidation
You're never
factor,
gonna
though, is
get there.
understandable. Like, I've played Tichu a fair bit, but I usually play casually with my in-laws.
Yeah.
I sat down and played with some pretty serious players and definitely had that vibe of like, oh, I just did something that really upset my partner, you know, because they're taking the game so seriously, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's okay, too. If you've got a group that takes it very seriously, then you can play at that level, right?
Yes.
But I always tend to modulate down if I'm with people who I think are playing more casually. Then however seriously I would normally take it, I just try to bring it down. Because otherwise it's not fun for anybody, right?
Yeah.
Nobody wants to feel like they can't make a move or they're going to like upset their partner.
Right. Every time I hear somebody talk about teaching that game, it reminds me of that old cartoon, Two Stupid Dogs, with that, isn't that cute? But it's wrong!
I don't remember that, but okay.
Yeah.
But I get the sentiment. I get the
right.
sentiment.
Hey, clip that.
Did you actually play anything new?
I didn't play anything while I was here. I did play one. I'll mention a game I played before I got here to this. It was the new one from Renegade Games, Fox in the Forest Duet. So they had Fox in the Forest, trick-taking game. I guess that's the theme tonight, trick-taking games, for 2 players, which seems like it'd be an impossible thing. But I think they really nailed it with Fox in the
Yeah,
Forest.
that was a tough game too.
Yeah, it really
It's
does. Yeah. Fox in the Forest Duet allows it to be cooperative. And they manage the same kind of tension. In the one that isn't cooperative, it's all about hitting sort of this perfect number of tricks. You get too few, you don't get enough points. You get too many, you don't get very many points. You want to get right sort of in the middle. So when you start getting towards the middle, your partner says, fine then, I'm going to just try to help you win. So you get past that point and lose victory points. In this one, you've got a board in the table, and when you win a trick, you're going to move a piece in the middle back and forth on this board. And there's little stacks of tokens on the different spaces, and what you're trying to do is hit on those spots so you can remove those tokens.
Oh, okay.
So I want you to win this time because we need to push the token back this way, and I want you to win by X number of steps so we can then push the token over to that spot. We can then remove tokens. And you only have so many, you have 3 rounds to do it in. It's maybe hard to understand visually, but it has that good tension again every time you play.
Yeah.
So I really dug it. I really enjoyed that.
So I didn't actually play anything here either, but before we came to GAMA, Reno, Rodney was in town and we played some games. And we
we sure
played
did, yeah.
the 100 Torii from Pencil First Games, that was a recommendation of Rodney's, and that game is amazing.
I was so happy you liked it.
It is a simple tile laying game with this insane level of pathing that you need to do to try to gain the benefits of these 100
Right.
Torii. There are these red and blue gates that you pass through,
Right.
and as you pass through them, red gates give you the benefit, or you gain another token of the
Right.
starting point.
Every time you place a tile, you're going to get a token.
Yeah, and
But the more gates you go
And
through.
you choose an object on the, because sometimes there's more than one path with the landmarks.
Yeah.
But if you you choose one and then you path through it to the nearest one on another tile,
Right.
and on your way you will pass through gates. And so red gates give you the same tokens, and then you're trying to get 5 at a time to get to upgrade to your token to a 5, because the individual landmarks don't score you any points. So you need to have 5 to score 5 points, and then the next level is 10, and that maxes out that level. And then there's special values on that. But then there's also the blue gates that give you wild. You can choose whatever you want except what you've gained on that turn. So there were some crazy paths with all these and sometimes you can't stop it, right? The best thing there's some special characters that help you out, and you can block a path where they then must do something to activate that, and it costs you some of your tokens to actually instigate that whatever power is. But then you gain points for just using that power, which is neat. And there's a whole level. We were talking about it afterwards, and I think Dave was saying that he didn't really recognize he wasn't acknowledging all the powers initially, right, when he first started playing. I was noticing the whole time, but I was just like on this fence of like how valuable it is, because I actually kept drawing the same types of landmarks, so I needed to change things up. So I ended up just choosing the same power several times in the game.
So you could draw different tiles.
Yeah, exactly. And then I knew at the end of the stack, because they go at the bottom, so I knew that they were going to have all of the, I think they were water bowls or something like that I kept having.
Lily pads or whatever.
So it's a really fantastic
It starts
game.
with a very small, you have one tile and you keep building out from it. So at the beginning, the paths are pretty straightforward, but by the time you have tons of tiles on there, and you place that new tile and you're trying to figure out where to place it so I get the best path possible.
Right.
So I thought it was really unique. I really like tile laying games. I think if you have an interest in that sort of thing, it's worth giving a look at.
And it's a lot of game in a little box too. And there's the powers are fantastic. I mean, the gardener's really rad, because that one's
really
the one where you place another tile on top of the tile, and then you can just all of a sudden claim one crazy path that was claimed before.
Definitely keep an eye out for this one. I think it's one that it's Pencil First Games, right?
Yep.
Designed by Scott Caputo.
That's right. Exactly.
When is it coming out?
I think it is available.
I think it's towards the end of this month, maybe?
Oh, okay.
Is that right?
I know it was delivered to Kickstarter backers not too long ago.
Right.
Okay.
It is out this month. I have a designer diary by Scott Caputo that'll go live probably next week.
Nice.
Sorry. It went live on Tuesday of this week.
Time travel.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you just gain a pair of balls on your chin? The ball chinian?
I did not stop time.
It's under the beard.
That's right.
Oh, that's stopping time. It doesn't actually reverse time. All right. What is that in the game? No.
That's something else.
Okay.
I didn't get to play anything. There were some things that caught my eye out on at the expo hall there, and one of them was at the Arcane Wonders booth. And I'm not allowed to say specifically what it is, but I was given permission by Robert Geisinger. We're old Dice Tower friends, and he said you can drop some hints. So I saw something really cool based on a video game IP that's coming later this year from Arcane Wonders, and it's a social deduction game. And let me just say, it's going to have a neighborly theme.
Okay.
Resistance Dig Dug.
So somebody get
Neighborly.
on that.
Like Mr.
Yeah. No, we said video game, right? So it's a
game.
video.
Oh.
Is that Mr. Rogers' video game?
I don't think so.
Neighborly.
I got excited for
Yeah, I
a
know.
second.
Paperboy. That's what I was thinking too, but I don't think so.
But then something I can actually talk about would be, I did stop by Asmodee and I checked out the Cosmic Encounter Duel, which seemed, because I'm a big Cosmic Encounter fan, and I was a little skeptical because I was like, is this something we really need in our lives, But it's really interesting. All the alien powers are brand new, so they're all original to this version of the game. And then a lot of the classic, a lot of the older ones from the regular game are like special abilities you can earn. Yeah, you can unlock and earn in the game, and it's the scoring, instead of just capturing planets, it's all objective based. Like, you're going to have a very particular thing you need to accomplish in your turn, and your opponent's going to try to stop you somehow. And so it seems very Cosmic Encounter like flavored, but it's different. And I'm really intrigued, but I can't wait. I think it's going to hit sometime in May, is what they told me, and I'm really looking forward to that one.
Cool. Any news, Eric, that happened while we were here potentially? Can you forecast into what happened next week? Maybe?
Oh my goodness.
Since we are going out at the end next Friday.
Yes, I cannot do that.
Okay.
I mean, there's some things I'm going to be posting that I've checked the inbox, and there's things that are piling up in there just because I'm at a show and I'm trying to
focus on this.
Get some sleep, actually, as well, and not catch up on things necessarily.
Nothing exciting?
Not that I know of.
We had a lot of cancellations at this show.
Yeah, we
it was
had
25. I think Danny said when she came by.
Yes, I mean on our schedule we had 13 initially, and then there were some more from different things that came up, or people left early, or just the timing didn't work out with something. So there's a lot of things that we didn't show, and yet we still had a full schedule.
Well, Control was great. We finally got to see that from Pandasaurus, and I was happy that because Nathan, they didn't come, but he came. The booth, they canceled their booth, but at least we got to see that, which is an exciting game. What did you think of that one?
That looked very cool. I mean, it's a great sort of abstract strategy feel, messing around and building this sculpture.
I like the going after people aspect of it, right?
Oh, yeah. Cover them up.
Yep, cover them up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Really neat.
Very tactile.
We actually were supposed to show that at Nuremberg, and we ran out of battery power as we were recording, and so I'm happy that we got
batteries.
Yeah, so I'm for the microphones. So I was happy that we got to slide that one in.
Yeah.
Anything else exciting?
I don't know. There were some announcements from Asmodee right before the show, and it mostly relates with their distribution. And I've talked about that a bit, and I'll be posting about it. That'll be live before this show goes live, so you can go look at links there. I mean, there's general issues about conventions in the future, but I think a lot of that is just not even clear what people are doing.
But we will be taking these videos and putting them on our BoardGameGeek Express channel, YouTube channel.
What's this Wii business stuff?
Well, no, I committed to, since you're going to be with me this weekend, I committed to half of them will be edited by me or Nikki. But you should subscribe to that channel, as I keep saying as of late, if you want to know about new games, because that's where you're going to find out about them.
Right.
We have... I don't know how many videos. It was about 100 again from Can FIJ that are going up.
75, 80.
And they're not even done. I still have, I think, another 10 or 12.
Okay.
I cherry-picked from the final batch because I was up till 3 a.m. before we left for this trip, and I got up at 7 to drive. And amazingly enough, I made it all the way through. Made it all the way through. No, only when we were at dinner did my energy start to go, hey, I'm glad you drove tonight, John. I'm tired now.
Hey, you had a great... road buddy.
Oh no, I know. You talked all about the game that you got to play here. The what was it?
SPQF.
Yeah. So she talked to about for an hour, and I'm like, hey, you know what? That's pretty great. We ought to talk about stuff like that more often. But the
designed by Grant Rodiak.
Yeah. Go ahead. Do you want to say something?
No.
Oh.
The details were boiling.
And then we do have, so we aren't certain about how everything's going to go for the next few months with conventions, but we are selling tickets for BGG Fall. And those, at this point in time, I think they're now available to the general public, right? All the stuff. So by the time this goes out, you should be able to buy tickets and get your hotel room. So you should consider doing that before it sells out. We do have, I don't know what's next. I think Origins is our next scheduled convention to do live coverage, and hopefully that will happen. And then after that would be Gen Con, because we actually had to cancel. We weren't going to be live streaming, but from Tokyo Game Market, but we aren't certain what's going on with that convention. But within the company, we decided that we weren't going to attend. Which is a real drag, because it is a very innovative show to go see.
So I'll mention one thing. So they canceled the Osaka game market, which was scheduled to take place March 8th. Understandably, Japan's had lots of issues with schools being closed for a month and all sorts of things canceled. So that was part of it. It seems like possibly the late April one will be canceled as well. But Roy Nambu from Pen and Dice has been organizing kind of a virtual game market where people can go on a website. I'll have to find the link that we can drop into the show notes, where you can essentially visit the booths of different designers and get instructions and introduction to games, all in Japanese, of course.
Yeah.
But the idea is you can still learn about the games in a particular way from the people who are selling them, just because a lot of them are homemade productions, very small
runs,
small print runs, and these people are excited to show off their games, and they don't have another market really
until November.
Yeah, until November. Well, if
we might see
April
more
doesn't
creative
go, then
things like this. If conventions are being canceled, people trying to find ways to still get the word out there, and these kind of virtual cons might be. I mean, obviously, there's a lot you lose when you don't have that in-person interaction, but it might be
Yes.
we might see some new innovative ways.
If you don't have that, then what's the alternative?
Right.
VR.
Yeah, VR.
Yeah.
Just walk through. Yeah, they just build it all in VR. Yeah. It's just the purchases and actually, you don't have that instant gratification. That's the only downer.
Yes.
But yeah, so hopefully we might be able to return to that event in November. I do believe it's the 12th to the 14th. I'm not sure. I think that's pretty.
Announced yet.
I think I found that out.
Oh,
okay. And that's all iffy, right? Anyway, but that's pretty much right around when we do BGG.CON. So maybe we can do it in before. But it's a downer because we were very excited. We are hoping. So we have our convention preview that we do, and we have the pre-order system, and we were hoping to actually start to open it up to Japan as well, and maybe that it can still happen without us being there.
There will still be a preview. I still plan to do one, and possibly we can still have ordering information for people to get things shipped to them, or just something, because
these games, a lot of them are not available in North America, really, right? Outside of something like this happening.
Well, for example, Metro X, right, is just becoming available from Game Right, and that was 2 years ago.
Yes.
So I mean, you can get those games often, and we did sell them in the BGG store when they were in print. I'm sure they're probably still in print, but yeah, it's a lot of really amazing stuff coming out of the Japanese design market, and it's unfortunate that we're not going to be able to see it this year again. Unfortunately, this was exciting because generally it's always during our convention, our spring convention and our fall convention, or just the weekend after, and it's difficult for us because the weekend after for us is Thanksgiving weekend, and we're not going to necessarily travel to Japan during that time. And so it's unfortunate. We were really excited that it was going to be early because I think they were because of the Olympics preparation, they were going to run it about a month earlier, 25 days early, and so we were very excited to be able to go, and it's unfortunate we're not going to make it. So wah, wah. Well, I guess unless anybody else has anything else to say, we'll probably wrap it up. We'll be back in 2 weeks. We'll be all separate once again, which is sad. It's actually nice to do to do this all together.
That's right. We have a 2-week incubation period.
Actually, I got a little bit more than that. I mean, that's really my concern. Is I don't want to spread anything if I've been exposed. So so this year we did the BGG retreat. Then I don't think we had 2 weeks between that and Nuremberg. But then it was after Nuremberg 2 weeks to Cannes. Then it was at Cannes for a week. Then 2 weeks to this event. And I had 2 weeks. I'm like, well, if I was infected, I got 2 weeks to because I'm work from home, so I'm mostly isolated anyway. But now we have 3 weeks, so hopefully, if anything, it's rough. It's a very odd situation, but. Let's look on the bright side. We can all stay home and play games.
That's right.
So thanks to my co-hosts, W. Eric Martin, Candace Harris, Rodney Smith, Derek Porter, and Chaz Marler. I got all those names. Plus myself, Lincoln Damerst. Join us again in 2 weeks. Thanks for joining us.
See you, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye.